I am a government employee. Go ahead, sorry. Everybody's acting as if they understand this.
OK， 非常感谢大家，今天星期五下雨，然后大家冒雨来听这个说明会，那感谢林先生有这个机会。那他是第2次来台湾，他非常爱台湾，尤其是吃的，带他去诸暨县读书。所以他是波尔蒙州州政府的官员，他是我们这个165这个区域中心的处长，他是全部管。长得蛮帅的啦。
So I'm an employee of the government of the state of Vermont, and my background is in finance and banking, but moved to the state of Vermont because I am from Vermont, lived in New York City and other places, but feel that I should give back to the state.
那他呢，也就是我们这个州的这个州政府的官员。那他的背景是做金融，他以前在金融界做得很好。但是呢，他觉得他应该对他这个州有一些贡献，所以他回到这个州来做这个区域中心。
There is now approximately 500 regional centers in the United States.
OK， 那目前美国大概有500个区域中心。
That's a lot of regional centers. The competition and the marketing has grown incredibly. The state of Vermont maintains a great track record and history, which I'll get into in a little bit. But we also cannot compete with some of the for-profit regional centers that are just plowing so many dollars into marketing their projects. But we can compete based upon our track record.
那在这500个区域中心，每个就当然竞争的很厉害啦。当然，在收入方面，我们没有办法跟他们竞争，因为它是州政府不以收益为目的。那当然呢，在我们的这个效果成果，就是我们的526、829的成功率上，我们是非常的成功。
Vermont Regional Center was approved in 1997. We did not move forward with approving our first project underneath the Regional Center until December of 2006. That project through 2007 and 2008 began raising funds and successfully completed its project. Since then, we have 15 approved projects. We have 7 of which that have obtained IA-29s. And we have a 100% success record with I-526s and IU-29s.
那我们这个区域中心是在1997年成立的，但是那时候呢，成立之后也没有马上开始，因为那时候115还没有很完善，有很多漏洞。那真正的开始是2006年开始，那真正的项目开始推广是2007年。那到现在目前为止，大概有15个项目。那有7个项目呢，已经有达到820%，那是100%成功。
So I want to get into, you can leave it right there. I want to get into a little bit of detail about why that is. First of all, the state of Vermont does not own the regional center to profit. We're not obtaining interest and fees from our projects. What we're doing is we're approving projects that we think are quality projects that will create jobs, create employment for Vermonters. We're using the regional center as an economic development tool for the residents of the state of Vermont.
那我们这个区域中心不是以赚钱为目的，最主要2个目的是创造就业及经济发展。
So when we have people literally from around the world that contact us and express interest in working under the Vermont Regional Center. So we have a process in place where we not only look at the business projections, the type of business, and the quality of the owners, their track record and success, but we also look at their background and their ethics. We do due diligence to ensure that do they have any court cases that are pending? Do they have any litigation against them in their history? Do they have any bankruptcies? And we reflect on all of that information to ensure that we are not potentially approving what could be a great business and make wonderful sense, but have principals, owners behind it that are unethical and would not represent the state of Vermont in the light that we want our state to be represented.
那就是到我们这个区域中心来申请的这个EB5的项目，有很多要来申请，但是呢，我们呢就是审查的非常严格。我们除了对这个项目、这个商业计划各方面的可行性做了调查之外呢，最重要对这个项目主持人的背景、的信用过去的历史，过去有没有骗钱有没有倒闭过啦，我们都做非常的严格，请第三方来调查，就是把这个事情呢弄得很清楚，没有这样的事情的时候，我们才会接受他的申请。
If they pass that sort of ethical litmus test, we then again look at the business plan. We have business summaries that we request to look at. We require market studies. We require third-party economic jobs analysis reports, and we look at all that information as well.
刚刚讲的就是人品是最重要，人品通过之后呢，他才会对他的项目各方面请第三方来做确实的调查。
If the market study, the economic jobs analysis, and the business projections look to be real, they look to be quality, they're not pie in the sky, they're not made up, we then move forward with ensuring that they have a terrific staff of legal representatives to put the private placement memorandum together. And that would be securities attorneys and immigration attorneys especially.
那除了就是对项目这些经过这个第三方的查证，就是合乎我们这个州政府的规定之外呢，当然他会要求他们用就是证券的这个有经验的律师来做他们的项目的这个销售这个在检查，还有就是移民律师，他们也建议用好移民律师。
That usually takes a year or more. Mount Snow is well over 18 months to go through the process of finally being approved by the regional center. In addition to all that, we also look at mid-level management. We want to ensure that the mid-level management is quality management, that they have experience, that they have skills that are needed for whatever the business type is. And because this is an EB-5 project, the United States Citizens and Immigration Service requires that vast amount of paperwork and processing for each investor into a project, we need to ensure that they either have in-house staff that are competent or that they're hiring consultants from outside, or in many cases, there's a combination of the two. We've had a couple of late nights, so between Thomas and I apologize. We look at mid-level management. We want to make sure that mid-level management is not only experienced in whatever the business type is that we're looking at, but also that mid-level management and expertise is provided for the EB-5 portion or side of responsibilities of an EB-5 approved project. So we look for them to not only have in-house experience or that they consult with third parties, or typically it's a combination of both.
就是说，他们不只是对项目的主持人做考核，对他们的中层的这些人是不是有经验在不管是你自己项目自己雇的，或是请第三方来跟你做的，他们都要做一个考核。
If all that connects and everything over a year, 18 months works, then we enter into a contract, which I'll show you a little bit later, with our projects, and they have multiple covenants that they are required to fulfill. and then it's not over for the regional center. We don't just say, okay, great, go ahead, move on. We're monitoring them, constantly, proactively monitoring our projects.
OK， 那这个整个像他们区中心申请的时间呢，大概要1年到18个月，相当长，因为他们做了很多的调查。那通过之后，当然就可以就是来做这个事情。那当然就是在这个区中心来讲呢，就是他们刚刚讲会除了核准之外，还有监督、监管，所以一系列的工作。
Now, the regional center does all of this. We're monitoring the projects, and then on a quarterly basis, we meet with the projects on site while the construction is in process, so that we can see how development of the construction is going. Discuss in person what, if any, issues there are, and try to provide assistance, or sometimes, correct issues that we have with the project.
那他们呢，就是基本上每3个月呢，跟项目方呢做一个就是 meeting， 还有就是到项目方去考察他们的进度各方面。其实呢，他们在每个礼拜都有沟通，即使就是他们如果在移民上申请上有什么困难，他们会帮助项目方去把它完成。也就是说，万一有什么不太好的地方，他们会叫他们更改、修正，来符合邮局的规定。
If we're not in contact with a project at least once on a weekly basis, that's very, very rare.
OK， 那普通就是区域中心跟这个项目每个礼拜联络，几乎是没有。
So, we do all of this in-house. There are other regional centers that are owned by counties, by cities, and even states. But a majority of them, or all of them except for one new one, contract out to third-party, for-profit institutions. We feel that by keeping the administration and management of the regional center in-house, that we're better able to control the quality of projects that we accept. We have no profit motive.
那我们这个区域中心呢，就是区域中心的人呢，都是我们政府的资源，我们携带，不像其他的区域中心，有时候可能跟你讲是政府的区域中心，但是他们都是承包出去，他们是以赚钱为目的，但是我们没有，不是以赚钱为目的，所以我们可以做的监督性比较强。
Again, our only motive is job creation, and if the jobs are created, the green cards are created, the permanent green cards.
那就是最主要就是说我们这个创造就业机会，如果创造就业机会能够把握住，当然各位的永久立法绝对没有问题。
The state of Michigan 2 years ago gave me a call and they wanted to speak to me. Their new governor, Governor Snyder, was interested in creating a state-owned and state-administered regional center. They had heard about the Vermont Regional Center and its successes, so they called to speak with me and other people at the regional center. This past May, I believe, it was approved, and again, based partially on the success of Vermont, they are moving forward with the same model of regional center.
那密西根的州的州长辛埃德，就是2年前就一直想跟他学习。那在5月之前呢，我们跟我们州的区域中心是唯一的州政府区域中心。但是呢，现在密西根呢，经过2年的学习，他们现在也成立。今天来讲，有它，但是它还没有项目，只是成立了。
And then I just want to describe a couple of other regional center structures. Another structure is a regional center that also owns the project or projects under it. And with that kind of structure, I, as an investor, if I were considering investing, would be a little bit concerned because there is no separate party. There's no party at arm's length that's monitoring them. With the Vermont Regional Center, we may approve the projects, but we're constantly monitoring them. And if we have concerns, we take corrective actions.
现在市面上500多个区域中心的，大部分的区域中心是项目方跟区域中心是一体，所以它根本没有监督的作用。那我们这个区域中心不一样，政府是在监督，项目是项目，区域中心是区域。
And then finally, there are some companies out there that own multiple regional centers. around the country, and they structure regional centers so that they're able to create basically a lending model. They are a lender. They lend to the project pays interest, the project also pays fees to the regional center, and as a lender, they sort of manage everything. They bring in the investors and place the investors with the project. Now, what's up there?
那另外一种这个区域中心就是用区域中心设立，但是呢，你用项目来，我就把这个租给你，所以收租金，所以这个也是利益挂钩了，没有监督的责任。
So there's a few things that I forbid any of the projects that we've approved to state. I forbid them to say that they are the best EB5 project, that they're the safest EB5 project, or that they can guarantee either your green card or your money back.
那在我这个区域中心呢，绝对不能讲你是最好的项目，你是最成功的，或是一定可以还你钱的，或是对利款有保证。在他的区域中心里面，这4个绝对是机会，绝对不能这样做，绝对不能保证。
I've been to many events around the world, and I see other regional centers making those sorts of statements, and it isn't fair. The Vermont Regional Center believes in being honest and being upfront and ethical with any potential investors who are interested in EB5.
那他已经参加了很多会议了，各个方面的。那当然有一些项目呢，就是做了很多的承诺、保证，但是呢，这是不公平，而且对投资人是一定将来以后会出问题的。
We actually have caught agents for projects that had put up statements such as the best and safest EB5 project in the United States. The projects didn't know about it because the marketing was in a different language. But we are that proactive that we actually look at marketing in other countries in, other than English language to ensure that not only is the project being represented in the right manner, but the regional center is as well.
那就是他刚刚讲的一个，就是在其他地方，就是比如在中国，就是他们呢会宣传，因为他不是讲英文写英文，它是最好的啦，最有保证的项目，当然这些都是不会的。所以他们都不会让他的项目这样做。
So if we go to the next slide, with our business model and our record, we do have a great record of success. We have a 100% success rate both with I-526s and I-829s. That is not including some applicants who, less than a dozen that I know of, that lied or provided false information on their applications, or when their proof of funds were reviewed, they were found to have some ties that were not authorized and were illegal.
那可以看我们区域中心呢，你看 I526就是临时立卡，跟 I829成功率都是100%。那要像我们这样的区域中心，大概几乎没有。
So I know that John was talking a little bit about taxes earlier. It's also very important that if you're considering the EB5 program, that you're honest and that you state things honestly on your applications. So in our case, we cannot help applicants that have put false information, but as far as our projects are concerned, all of our projects have a 100% success record. This states 620 I-526s. It's actually well over 640, and it's changing now on an almost weekly basis. This says 180 I-829s. In fact, we are very close to 200 if we haven't yet surpassed it. I've been away for a week, so I haven't been able to get updated figures from all of my projects yet. But we're close to 200 if we have not yet surpassed it. So out of 500 regional centers, very few actually have any I-829 approvals. And maybe there's a dozen that can compete with this number of I-829s. So.
那刚刚林先生有讲到这个报税要审慎问题， 像我们一样，我们这个非常的诚实，也都有这个数据。那可以看到 I526呢，这个是4月、5月初的，是620个，那目前大概有640几个，就是成功。那829呢，是上面是180个，那应该是190个，那几乎每个礼拜都在变动，都有通过的。那在所有的500个区域中心里面呢，有829个寥寥无几，能够有180个更少，只有2、3个区域中心。
So, with that record, I ask you to reflect on other projects that you may be looking at, compare it, and if you have any questions for me, feel free to contact me, or we can talk more afterwards. This is a memorandum of understanding or a contract that we enter into with each project. It's about 10 pages long and has multiple covenants that have to be fulfilled by each project.
那左边的这个呢，就是项目方跟区域中心签的备忘录，大概有10张左右，那就是很多条款，要怎么样来履行它的义务。
And this is just simply a letter from United States Citizens and Immigration Service dated in 2011 that is just restating that we are an approved regional center. It's the first page. It lists several different industry categories that we're approved for.
那这是我们区域中心在移民局的这个更新的合作。
So I just want to say before I continue on to Senator Leahy that the reason why Vermont is so excited. I want to make sure you're listening. The reason why Vermont is so excited about Mount Snow is that we are a state that's very, very cautious and protective of our environment.
Okay, 那这个就是参议院，这个是佛尔蒙州的参议院叫他主的决议。他呢，我们这个州呢，刚刚讲的就是对环保，对，因为他们叫Vermont，Vermont 意思就是 Green Mountain， 绿色山。
The Westlake project will improve waterway conditions for Mount Snow, and along with that, Mount Snow has proven to be such a good partner to the state of Vermont that the Agency of Natural Resources, a sister agency to the agency that I work for, has approved them for hundreds of residential development.
那我们这个扩建计划呢，就是合乎他们这个州跟这个联邦政府的这个绿色环保，所以他们同意，所以他就是即使在建造这些刚刚讲的这些呢，对环保呢，它还合乎环保的要求。
So they're a good partner to our state not only economically but environmentally. But in my position, I'm most excited about the economic impact, the jobs that they're going to be creating.
那这个我们这个计划呢，当然2样，第一个环保达到要求，第二个呢，在经济创造经济第一。
As Lori showed you earlier, they have a nice buffer between the minimum required by USCIS and the numbers that their job analysis has concluded that they'll obtain.
那刚刚就是讲这个创造就业的这个机会，当然有多出来，就是1040多有1216，所以呢，就是当然作为一个州政府的官员，他希望在这个地区创造更多的就业机会，所以他们非常的高兴对这个项目非常的支持。
The owners of Peak Resort have a great history in business and have shown growing profitability for not only Mount Snow but for Peak Resorts.
那就是母公司呢，Peak Resort呢，就是也非常有历史。那这2个公司呢，就是说历史都非常长久，而且呢都是有盈利的这个企业。
Finally, with my background in finance, I'm always excited to see when an issuance has what I call a credit enhancement. Peak Resorts, if you've seen the private placement memorandum, has entered into a collection agreement. So that provides added security to the investors. And when I was in the bond world, we were always looking for credit enhancements for our investors and our clients. So the combination of all of this makes us very excited about Mount Snow. And if you have any questions, again, that I can answer, feel free to contact me.
那他本身呢，就是以前是在金融界、华尔街做事的，所以他在证券方面很有经验。他就是每次以前在做工作的时候，他对证券的保障呢，就是还款的回收呢，都是能够增加它回收的成分高。那我们这个公司，然后什么呢？也就是有一个，就是刚刚的连带保证连带负责这个母公司的连带负责，它对大家来讲，这是一个信用，就是借款的就是保证的增加嘛，对大家是一个很好。
Finally, I just want to mention Senator Leahy. He was elected to the Senate from the state of Vermont in 1974. He is now the most senior senator in the United States, otherwise known as Senate Pro Tem.
那这个参议员呢，就是很老参议员了，1974年可能还有1944年多少出生？啊，40年了，都已经非常的老资格了。
He's the chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and he's a very strong supporter of EB-5.
他是参议院会司法委员会的主席，而且他对 EB-5非常的支持。
He's not only a strong supporter of EB-5, but over a year ago, he introduced a comprehensive immigration reform bill. He's a great supporter of immigration. He realizes that the United States was created and it is successful because it was built and developed and still continues to be developed by immigrants.
他是不只是支持移民，而且对移民呢也是非常的支持。那他有提一个移民法案，所以呢，他在这一方面呢非常支持，因为美国其实是移民国家。
So his comprehensive immigration reform bill included language to make EB-5 permanent, and something that's very close to me and I feel is just as important. He had legislation and changes in EB-5 that would strengthen the compliance and integrity of the program.
他呢就是在他移民法案呢，就是里面有想要就是提出要把 EB-5作为一个永久项目，现在是临时每2年就是要再改变一次。
So, Shay, thank you all again for coming out on a Friday night to listen to us talk, and also thank you to John and his staff at Wonderful for hosting us.
谢谢各位。